So at level 22, things start diverging. Horde now have really good spots that they can go to. And so with this, we're going to do Horde versions of 22 to roughly in the 30 range, where we can start, progressing over to Rotha Highlands and stuff like that. But I wanted to show you my tune first to show you that you can do this with any gear before we get into the footage, and also make an excuse for why I do it so poorly in the footage itself. So this is a hardcore tune that I actually restored just to do these farms. I had to delete them initially because I died to some syndicate mobs. But you can see from the gear that I have that it is nothing special. I mean, I didn't have a weapon. I don't have a weapon. Didn't even know that. But you can see here, pretty much no gear whatsoever, and you can still do these farms. So it's not that you can't do these farms. It's just that you're going to have no mana left once you finish them. So I want to avoid this footman, but I'm going to aggro these guys. I'm going to aggro this guy. I'm going to aggro this guy. And I aggroed the footman. Crap. And we're going to show you the strategy. Now, you can automatically see that I almost get too low. I'm going to try to sheep this footman just because he resisted, because, well, he's way too high of a level, and this is going to break him out of the sheep right now. So I'm probably going to have to sheep him again. I'm not even going to have enough mana. I'm just going to bail. I'm going to bail on that idea right there. Let's just scrap that right now. If that ever happens, though, because that's a good example of something, if you get a resist, try to get the Nova. Now, I'm a pretty low level, and so I kind of had to bail a little bit early right there. But all that being said, yeah, you can do this with any gear. All right, and so even if you can't access an auction house, you can do these AOE farms. It's just going to take practice. It's going to be something where you need to make sure that you're being as mana efficient as possible. If you don't need to blink after your Nova, don't blink. If you don't need to aggro them with a max rank Fire Blast, don't aggro them with a max rank Fire Blast. In fact, this is what I always recommend. Always use rank 1 Frost Nova. There's no difference between max rank and rank 1 except for mana cost and a little bit of damage, but the damage doesn't scale as worth it as the extra blizzard you're going to get off. And use rank 1 Fire Blast to pool. I use a downshift macro personally, and so that makes it pretty easy for me. And so if you aren't familiar with what a downshift macro is, right here we have downshift. And so if I don't have a modifier, in this case the modifier is shift, it casts max rank blizzard. If I have a modifier shift, it casts blizzard rank 1. And so I can use this on the same button, same place on the bar, so the toolbar stays a little bit cleaner. Then all I have to do is press and hold shift when I'm ready to cast the abilities. When you're first getting started with this, you're probably going to run into some issues because it's going to try to do other things. Go into your multi-action keybar and make sure that you bind shift 3, for example, from my Fire Blast, and then unbind it. Basically, if it's already bound to something else, what it's already bound to will override that macro, and it'll try to do that keybind first. So you need to unbind it, then rebind it. But when you're getting started with a level 22 Horde tune, you now have Blizzard. And so our spec needs to be full Blizzard spec. You can see here it's the exact same spec we were just talking about in the previous video. We now move on to having improved Blizzard as well, 3 out of 3. Why do you need improved Blizzard? Well, it makes it so that there's a chill effect on your Blizzard, which slows them by 65%. But when accompanying that with the extra permafrost and this chill, we actually have 75% slow. So every single time that we're blizzarding a mob, it's slowed by 75%. If you do not have this, 3 out of 3, you won't be able to do this farm. Some people think that you should have 2 out of 2 so that Cone of Cold can override it. Don't do that. 3 out of 3 improved Blizzard, use this spec, and it's going to make everything so much easier. What you want to do is you want to aggro mobs as far away from as possible, just like before. So we're going to use, Fireball right here. We're going to wand this guy, run over. We'll aggro this guy with a face pull on the right, and then we're going to face pull this guy and Fire Blast this guy, group them all up, take a couple hits, get off the Nova. You can see you can't take too many hits or else, honestly, you're probably just going to die. So take as few hits as possible, run to max range, and then Blizzard. It'll take a little bit of practice getting used to running to max range, but it's important that you don't blink unless you have really good gear. Why? Watch how little mana I have at the end of this. I have 416 mana left. Blizzard is 320, and I'm going to have to go for another Frost Nova. So I'm actually going to be nearly completely out of mana, and one of the mobs started running away quickly, and so I'm actually just going to start spamming Arcane Explosion to get these mobs down. I'm going to run out of mana here. That is a tactic. We'd prefer to use Blizzard, but one of the mobs started running away from the Blizzard damage, so I had to switch over to Arcane Explosion. If you need to do that, you can do that. But you can see how big of an issue health and mana is. So anytime you get any gear with intellect and stamina, that's going to be your best gear. That's the gear that you always want. But you can see that if you're arrested, for example, and we kill these 5 mobs, that gives me 1,500 experience. I have 27,000 experience per level, which means I only need to do this roughly, what would it be, like 18 times? 18 of those pools and you level, if you're rested. If you're not rested, 36 of those pools. So you can see the power of AoE farming, and it really just starts going crazy at level 22 because of the amount of mobs that you can take on with Blizzard and take on them quickly. Especially once you get some gear, you can start talking about 9 to 10 mobs at once. But let's show you the exact packs that I recommend you pull with some footage at level 22. If you're curious where we are in Hillsbrad Fields over in Hillsbrad Foothills. So Hillsbrad Foothills, Hillsbrad Fields, right here in the top left fields. This field right here in the middle is also very good. However, you're probably going to run into an issue where some padding mobs get extra aggro onto you, scuffing your pool, or you're going to run into an issue where you just have too many mobs and you're going to die. So recommend starting off here. You have a nice, outskirts you can run to if you need to reset. You don't need to worry too much about pats and things like that. So recommend the top kind of area. And then I recommend 3 different pools. And actually, we're just going to do this live. I'm just going to do it live. Think about that clip from the news article in your head right there. And so what I'm trying to do here is you have this first pool, which is this kind of southern quadrant of this Hillsbrad Fields. And so you have these extra mobs over here we can get later. But you have this first pool down here. Then you want to get the upper kind of mobs up here and combine them with these mobs. And so I'm actually going to try to do these 6 mobs. So here, aggro this guy, aggro this guy. We're going to aggro these 2 mobs right here. I'm going to bring them over to these guys over here. Group them all up. I'm going to Arcane Explosion to pull them together. Get off the Nova. I can't blink, so I just got to eat that damage. Obviously, it's a lot of damage. I get dazed. That's something you just got to get comfortable with. Then get off the Blizzard. I don't actually have any pots, so I might have to go for an Evocate here. We're going to have some mobs run away, definitely because we did the Arcane Explosion. I recommend using Arcane Explosion rank 1 instead in the beginning there just to pull the mobs. But here you can see that we're going to get them down pretty low. Hopefully before they get to us, we can get them down low enough. We get them Nova'd right here. We're going to go for the Evocate. I am almost dead, and so we're going to have to kite them from far away. We're going to start spamming Arcane Explosion. This one mob, if he hits us, we die. Arcane Explosion. Oh, God. This is the problem with not having good gear. And we got resist, so as you can see, that's why it's so important to try to limit your resist as much as possible. That guy's far away, so I'm going to kite this mob and wand him as I kite. Another resist. Work my way back to him, because now we have this mob. Whew! Jeez. 2 resists right there with my wand. Wonderful. But you can see that we get them down. And what was that? I think that was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 mobs, I think. So you can see even more experience. You can take on a lot of mobs with this Blizzard strategy, but you just got to be careful. The things I messed up there was I used max rank Arcane Explosion when they were grouped up. If I had better mana, that would actually be a great call because I'd be doing a little bit of extra damage. I would have to worry about them a little bit less. Honestly, though, I recommend using rank 1 Blizzard there, so you don't need to worry about them too much. So that's pool number 2. Get the northern quadrant with this pack over here and this pack over here. So now we pull the southern quadrant, this pack and this pack. Next, we're going to go over to the house. Inside the house, there's probably going to be a couple mobs, including Farmer Ray. But then right outside the house is this greenhouse kind of pavilion area. I guess it's not a greenhouse, but it's a little pavilion here with vines on it. And you want to pull these mobs right here. Group all those 5 up. And then AoE them down, moving this direction. One important thing is when you're blizzarding, I recommend after each blizzard that you move ever so slightly. And so you move farther away. All that's going to do is just give you some extra space. And so here you can see that there's only 3 mobs. So we can kind of show exactly what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to Nova them right there, run to max range. As soon as we get to max range blizzard, and it's going to align pretty well with them falling out of Nova. But then I'm going to step forward a little bit. Your blizzard has 5 seconds that it's remaining on the mobs. It's slowing them for 5 seconds, which means that we can move forward far enough to be able to drop down another full blizzard without them getting close enough to do damage. And then we can just go back in and just get them down right here. Again, I'm going to use Arcane Explosion because the mobs are just running away from me before I even get off the next blizzard. But typically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to Nova and then get off another blizzard on top of that. But just the way that the mob's health is working right now, it's not working like that. So this is the strategy, guys. This is going to be your blizzard killing strategy all the way up to 60. And it's just a matter of what mobs you pull where. So this is the first spot, Hillsbrad Foothills. top left of Hillsbrad Farms. You can do this spot all the way until, I probably recommend, 28. Now, I know that these mobs are only level 24, so you might get less experience. So maybe you want to stop at 27. However, the next place is going to be the mines. And the mines in Azurelode Mine they're very congested. And so you're probably going to run into some issues where some mobs are getting off a good amount of damage on you. Here, we're going to pull this mob. I'm probably going to aggro this mob just with face pull. I don't, so I'm going to aggro this mob with a fireball. We're going to go over and face pull these two mobs right here. We aggro up everything, please. Okay, get the Nova, run away. Max range, sorry, Blizzard, and then get right back into our kill rotation. So as I said, I would recommend staying here for a while because the next spot, while it's great, it's going to have a large, group of mobs in the mines. It is the mines, and in the mines, we're going to have some issues. You're probably going to die several times in the mines. This place is, for the most part, pretty safe. I am completely doomed. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. This is why you want good gear. Or mana pots. We might be going down, boys. We might be going down. All right, we're alive. But make sure to control them. Frost Nova, Blizzard. Don't use a lot of mana aggroing the mobs or stuff like that can happen. Always have pots ready. Honestly, if you can get any kind of better gear, try to get a weapon. Try to get stuff with intellect on it, as much intellect as you can possibly get. That's going to help a lot with situations like that. Stay here until anywhere between 26 and 28. I recommend probably 28 before going over to the mines, just to add that extra layer of safety because you do not have escape routes like we just had right there. Okay, so once you are done with the level 22 zone, you come over to the Azurelode mine. Now, I am on a very populated server, so it looks like somebody's already farming here, but you can see all these miners inside this mine. Now, as you go through, you can pull the miners, pull as many as you can at once, but there's some main farms rather that you want to do with this area. What I've done is I've taken off all my gear so I can simulate having 0 spell power so that my abilities don't do extra damage. Why is there another level 60 here? That's so wild. The first pull, though, is going to be over in this corner. So you can see here on the map, we have over this corner. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull these 3 guys. Then we're going to go into this room. Pull all the guys in the corner. I recommend using a wand to try to stay max range if possible. Once you have them all aggroed, you're going to go for the Nova. I got to resist, and so here I'm going to go for the Sheep. And then we're going to get rank 1 Blizzard, because at the time we would only have, actually level 28. I think at level 28 we would have rank 2 Blizzard, actually. So we could, in theory, use rank 2 Blizzard, but you can see here, basically the strategy is to use the Blizzard. Again, same exact kind of kill strategy, but what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you have your path over here cleared before. And you got to watch out for the terrain. Otherwise, you could aggro a mob like this. So here, I actually would have aggroed this mob. And so I recommend making sure that you have, your escape route kind of planned out so you know where to go so you don't start pulling a bunch of mobs. But that's the first pull. Get down this inside room, and that is a lot of mobs. As you can see here, we're really stepping up the mob count with these pulls now. And so we're going to be able to get some extra XP. The second pull is going to be inside this little corridor. You can see here, somebody already just killed all the mobs, but basically there's some mobs that spawn inside of here. There's mobs strewn throughout this area, and there's these Foremans and other mobs right outside. And so you burn down these mobs just as this mage is doing right now, group them up, and you AoE them down with Blizzard throughout here. It's a pretty safe kill spot just because you have a lot of room to kind of walk back and walk around. After that, you have your third pool, and this is the final pool that I would recommend looping through these 3. You can kill some extra stragglers over here if you have some extra time, but that's going to be this internal kind of area right here. So you have mobs all along the outside here. You can get about 7 mobs grouped up pretty easily. Kill them right here. Kite them back through this area or this area as needed. And then if you have some extra time with some extra mobs, you can go back down through here, pull these mobs, and AoE them down. Pretty simple. You will die a few times though. At the end of the day, you're working in a confined space. It's not like you could just run up on the hill and just run away infinitely. You'll probably run into some mobs. Typically, there's not a crazy amount of people here. I don't know why there's a level 60 here. The level 29 Warlock is probably questing, but I don't know about the level 60 unless he's helping his friend. But the Mage is typically where you're going to see. So it shouldn't be too congested here, but it's definitely an amazing spot. It's going to be just as fast as the Hillsbrad Farms. The earliest you can come here is probably 26, but that would be pushing it a big time. That'd be tough. You could definitely pull it off though. So if you want to give it a shot at 26, come on in here at 26. Just watch out for Minor Hackett and some of the other mobs in here that are going to be, a little bit higher level and could potentially resist your Novas and things like that, just because you are working with a confined space. So you can stay here until level 30. This would be a fantastic spot. You could even go all the way up until 32 if you wanted to. Let's talk a little bit about the specs, and then I'll show you guys the next spot that I would recommend in the next video for going from about 30 till 40. But the spec right now, obviously, we're at 3 out of 3 in Elemental Precision. We got Permafrost. We got Improved Nova, Blizzard. Now we want to start to think about kind of survivability and mana efficiency, right? So we're going to go Cold Snap at 23. Then we're going to start working Piercing Ice just so we can do some extra damage. Immediately, we're going to go into Arctic Reach. So this is going to increase the range of our Blizzard spells, allowing us to have a much easier time keeping them slowed and keeping that extra tick of Blizzard going. So go 2 out of 2 into there. We're level 26. Start working on Frost Channeling. Frost Channeling is going to reduce the cost of our mana spell, or reduce the cost of our mana spells. Reduce the cost of our frost spells by 15%, making it much more efficient. And we'll be able to do these farms a lot easier. And this is when AoE farming honestly gets pretty easy, guys. Once you hit level 30, you get Ice Block, and then you're able to do Ice Block pools, group up all the mobs, and AoE them down, which is going to be a key component of the future farms with the next video to come. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.